Good afternoon. I'm going to be going through a housing presentation for Jupiter housing renewal process for the academic year fall 2025, spring 2026. So the housing renewals for fall 2025, spring 2026 will be January 27th until February 3rd. All of the processes are online and available through our housing portal. The steps to do the process are available at the website listed here under Review Steps. The requirements to participate. Housing renewals are available only to our current on-campus Spring Jupiter Wilkes Honors College residents. Students must be living on the Jupiter campus to participate in this process. There is typically a $100 housing application fee. However, this is waived during the housing renewal process. Students can make a roommate group up to a total of 4 students. This means roommate groups could be 2, 3, or 4 students. Students have to complete their housing application in order to request and match with roommates. The application must be completed first. And roommate matching is not required. Students do not have to select a roommate or match with a roommate. It is not a requirement to participate in this process. The available housing on the Jupiter campus for our returning Jupiter Wilkes Honors College students is Residence Hall 2. We have two room types. We have a single room and a 4-person suite. We also have a double room, which is 2 people in a shared double room with 1 restroom. Residence Hall 2 is all twin extra long beds, so they are 80-inch mattresses on the twin XL beds. We also have Residence Hall 3 available for our returning students who participate in this process. They can preference room types in Residence Hall 3, and we have a single room and a 4-person suite available with 2 restrooms, and we have a single room and a 2-person suite available with 1 restroom. For the housing renewal process and roommate matching, the students log into the housing portal. This does require the students to have their net ID and password. Spring residents, again, do not pay the $100 refundable application fee, non-refundable application fee for this process. The application and all roommate matching must be completed by February 3rd at 5 p.m. Residents will have access to complete their housing application based on their spring residence hall assignment. The application date is not a factor for a housing assignment. Our students who live in Residence Hall 1 can log in to complete their application starting on January 27th at 9 a.m. Our students living in Residence Hall 2 may complete their application starting on January 28th at 9 a.m. And our students who live in Residence Hall 3 can log in and complete their application starting on January 29th at 9 a.m. We have a few students who are part of the Jupiter Wilkes Honors College who are at our Harbor Branch campus for the spring semester. And for some of those students, if they would like to join us back on campus for the next academic year, they can log in starting on January 30th to complete an application. For any students who did not complete an application on January 27th, 28th, or 29th, they can also log in on January 30th all the way up until February 3rd to complete their housing application and revisit the application and match with roommates. Housing assignments will be based on the resident's priority group and their tuition deposit date to the university. Again, the application date of their housing application is not a factor for their housing assignment process. Priority groups are based on the student's year of entry, and I've listed them in the table below. Within each priority group, housing assignments will be determined by the student's tuition deposit date. So for example, if a student started as a first-year student in the fall of 2024, and they have a tuition deposit date of January 1st of 2024, they would be pretty high up in their first priority group. If a student started in fall of 2024, but they have a tuition deposit date of April 15th of 2024, they would fall at the lower end of priority group 1 for their housing assignment. It is important to note that all of the students in the first priority group are required to participate in this process because they are required to live on campus going into their second year, as well as our Flagler Scholarship recipients who are required to live on campus while they are a student at Wilkes Honors College. Students can renew their application again by going into the housing portal. Once they log into the housing portal, on the right-hand side of the main housing portal screen, they have the option to select the 2025, 2026 housing application. Once they select that application, they'll agree to the terms and conditions of the housing contract. There is a DocuSign page embedded within the contract that the students create their signature and sign the contract. For any of our students who are under 18 years of age, it does require a parent or guardian's consent. So those students should plan in advance to have the email address available for their parent or guardian. And that individual who is the parent or guardian will receive a link once the student enters their information. And they will have to agree to the terms and conditions before the student who is under 18 years of age can complete all steps to the housing application. The students will review their personal details, and then we ask that they please update their cell phone number if the cell phone number in our system is not correct. They review their emergency contact information and can update it if it is needed. They answer all general questions. We have about 5 questions on this page for students to answer. One of these questions does ask students whether or not they want inclusive housing. It is a yes or no answer. They will add 3 room preferences. These are room preferences. It is not a guarantee for these preferences. And students can also look at what the room rates are in advance. I've listed a link here in the presentation that will also post it on our website. The students will answer their lifestyle questions, please. They will answer the lifestyle questions on the lifestyle questions page. And on this page is also a check box for roommate searching. So for any students who plan to be part of the roommate matching and roommate searching process, they should check that box. They will select their meal plan. They have 2 meal plan options to pick from. And then the final step is they will enter their Z number. So they should enter the Z, uppercase Z, and then their FAU Z number on the confirmation page. This will send the student an email confirmation with information that they have completed all of the steps to their housing application. The students should also check their FAU email frequently after they complete their housing application in case they receive any roommate requests. They want to make sure that they're not missing out on those. If a student does plan to request a roommate, they would then return to the housing application to start a roommate group or to accept roommate requests. So that is after they complete their application. They can revisit the application to start a roommate group or again, accept roommate requests. I've outlined the steps here for students to do roommate matching and roommate requests. Again, they first complete their application and then they return to the roommate selection page of the housing application that opens up and becomes available after a student has done their housing application. All roommate groups must be finalized by February 3rd at 5 p.m. If a student answers yes to inclusive housing, this is highlighted in yellow, then they can only match with other students who have answered yes to inclusive housing. If a student answers no to inclusive housing, they can only match with other students who have answered no to inclusive housing. It's important to know if you're going to do roommate matching and you know who you're going to match with as a roommate, it's important to talk about inclusive housing before you match up as roommates, so you know that your answers to the inclusive housing question match up and you can find each other. And then again, on the lifestyle questions page, there is the checkbox, and it's important that students check that box if they want to find other students and participate in the roommate searching and matching process. Just a reminder, please continue to check your FAU email for roommate requests. If you receive a roommate request and you want to accept it, simply go back into the housing application and accept your roommate request. If you receive a roommate request and you don't want to accept that request, We ask that you please go in and decline the request so the student is notified and they can look for other roommates if they wish to do so. Roommate requests expire after 2 days or by February 3rd at 5 p.m. It's whichever comes first. And if a roommate is part of your group and they cancel their housing application, housing will replace that space with a random student. You will not be able to go back and select another student once we send out housing assignments. Some important dates coming up after you complete your housing application is on February 20th, we will send out housing assignments. So our students who are required to live on campus will receive their housing assignment. And then also our students who are not required to live on campus will receive their housing assignments as well on February 20th. For any student who is not required to live on campus, if they do not want to accept their housing assignment, they can simply cancel their housing application up until February 28th without a penalty and without a cancellation fee. There is a slight chance that some residents might be waitlisted. And if they are waitlisted, they will receive their waitlist number on February 20th. Housing assignments for students who are waitlisted will be made as spaces become available. A waitlisted student does have 3 options. They can keep their application active and receive monthly updates starting in May. They can cancel their application by February 28th without any penalty because they have not been assigned a space. Or they can go back and cancel their housing application at any time prior to receiving a housing assignment with no penalty. This is important on the 3rd step. If you are waitlisted and you think that you are going to cancel your application, please make sure you cancel before you have been assigned a housing space. You want to pay attention to that process if you find something off campus. Again, it is a very slight chance that we will have a wait list for our Jupiter campus. I've included information if you have any questions. The main hours to housing are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. This is also the time frame that we monitor our email addresses, and the 2 email addresses are jupiterhousing@fau.edu and also housing@fau.edu. If you have any questions, you can email either one of those email addresses. I've included both phone numbers for Jupiter Housing as well as the main housing office operated out of the Boca Raton campus. All of the steps are listed on the website posted here under Review Steps. And all processes, again, are online and available through the housing portal for students to participate in this process. I thank you for joining and listening to the presentation. Again, if you have any questions, we kindly ask that you please reach out to us at the email address or at the phone numbers listed. We hope that everyone is able to participate in this process. Have a wonderful afternoon.